Let's talk about sales shopping. You don't strike me, Colin, as someone who goes off to grab a bargain.
I'm not one to be. I'm not one for Black Friday. That's for sure. What do you mean? I don't look like what?
I don't know.
I don't
You
look like somebody
someone
who wants to grab a bargain. Does that mean like you're?
Or go shopping,
You're a
I
bit
mean,
trumpy. Is basically what you're saying. You don't look like you spend much on clothes. Is what you're basically saying.
Let's talk to Kate Hardcastle.
Thanks. Kate's great.
Kate's brilliant. Yeah. From business consultancy Insight with Passion. Kate, talk to us about the sales. I feel like there's always a sale on.
I think that's part of the problem, because whilst we talk about footfall, how many people are in the shops, what the spending's been this quarter, this overriding issue is that we've now got all these brands in what feels to be a permanent discount situation that erodes the brand value. That's really causing challenges, because why would any consumer want to buy full price for anything anymore if you've done that permanently to your brand? So that's a big issue, as well as the fact that for 8-9 years now, we've been talking about challenging times on the high street. I'm really hoping that seasonal weather won't be blamed in the reports that are coming out in the next few weeks.
They always do, don't
That's
they?
been a clever one for the last few years. That's taken us by surprise. We're in the UK and the weather fluctuates. But, there is green shoots, there is hope, there is opportunity. There's just not enough of it and not enough people focusing on it to help.
Do you think people just don't care about the sales anymore?
I think consumers are driven by good discounts and prices. There are some genuine ones there still. But I think with price comparison websites, they're becoming more and more savvy, and they're holding on to the cash they've got. Plus, they just are generally buying less stuff because they want to experience more things.
Yeah.
So food and beverage, everything from, drumming lessons onwards. It's just more about living life and sometimes through the eye of the social media lens, but less about having materialistic things all around you, which used to drive a lot of the purchases, 10 years ago, plus more stuff in your house.
I can never work out if something's a bargain anymore. You know what I mean? Because there are so many sales. And then you've got Black Friday that's come along and just, changed everything.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the stores do generally buy in to have promotions at certain periods at certain prices. We've not seen this level of discount before this early in it, which means that we're going to be at 70-80% within a few days, because what retailers understand is if they don't grab your cash now, someone else will. Yeah. And the competition is so wide, it's so varied. So they've got to try and make sure that they make a play for you and provide the biggest discount. So you're seeing wording now like, you won't get better prices than this in January. This is our best offer to you. Here's an extra voucher code. And I think some consumers love the thrill of the chase, and they might be, foiled with a few bargains that aren't truly bargains. But there's some genuine discounts out there because retailers want your cash.
I talked to you just on the show on who knows what day. I don't even know what day it is now. Christmas does it. What is it? Is it Friday
It's that
today?
weird period, isn't it? After Christmas Day, before New Year's Eve.
Wednesday?
Thursday.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right, well, it's Thursday today, Kate. I talked to you on another day of the week. And we were talking about the high street and how it needs to modernise, etc., etc. And then we were talking about the government had announced for Christmas Day over £600 million that local councils could bid on in order to help their high street. And we talked about the idea that plugging the holes in the dam was not a good idea. I talked to the Minister, Jake Berry, and he had quite a lot of things he said that you said that it was more about modernising it, looking at what people will do in a high street rather than the straightforward retail idea, coffee shops that you can buy other things in, making sure you can park free in city centres. Now we've had time to digest the minutiae of what's being offered. Does it make a little bit more sense? Is it a little bit more positive than maybe we thought?
I think people are starting to talk about the right things, have the right conversation, but it takes years to make these changes. And some of them are happening within boardrooms and within strategy discussions that the consumers are not going to see. And what concerns me is the movement of traffic. We're not particularly a very techie country, but we've adopted online shopping so much because I think we were generally just disgruntled with the retail offer out there. And as soon as people start moving in a different direction, it's very hard to capture them back. So it's the speed of change on these actions. Great, we're having some more realistic conversations. Bit concerned that half an hour's parking here or there isn't going to make that much of a difference. It's got to be quite radical. And also, who is making the mandate? Who's making it happen? Because there's too many different stakeholders involved. But I think action's got to happen quickly, because in 5 years, genuinely, we might lose whole towns because people have just only been able to save a few.
Absolutely.
So have you got any tips for us?
For going out shopping?
Yeah, well, more for Colin, really.
Hold your nerve. Hold your nerve.
You're
If there's
pushing
not something that you want desperately and you're just generally in the line of buying a jumper, hold your nerve, because you're going to get bigger discounts within a few days. They will try and grab you. And also, there's no harm in buying things to put away if you can afford it, but there is no bargain if you cannot afford it. Work out your budget before you even touch a website or go into a shop, because if you can't afford it, debt is a miserable companion.
That is such good advice. If you haven't got the money, just don't bother.
That's what the Hardcastle delivers.
Debt is a miserable companion.
Probably the most important Hardcastle since Paul, and I don't say that lightly. Thank you very much, Kate. I appreciate
Don't know
that.
how to take that compliment. Thank you.
I don't either.
Yeah.
No, 19.
I tell you about parking. You talk about parking costs, right? I'm tight.